Production support for Hot and Cold is brought to you by American Solar Technics, manufacturers of components for wood burning and solar heating systems. Hey, I'm Tom Gozy. Welcome to Hot and Cold. The foam guys have left. This foam guy is finishing up this little bit on the gable end here. And boy, are we making progress. Stay with us. We got a lot of stuff to look at. Hey, well, you came in through the bedroom window, took the window out because we want to reframe the window. The window is in good condition. It's a vinyl replacement window, so we're going to build a new frame for it like we did on the other side because the wall comes out about 3 inches. So we need to set the window out. We need to have framework to contain that, and that's what I'm doing today. Interesting, so this is the open gable end I was just standing at the beginning of the show. Interesting thing, yesterday I was here and I was taking the sheathing off, taking the insulation out, and I hear this noise up in the attic. There's a chipmunk up there who thinks it's a great place to live, and it is because we've done some interesting stuff. We've got nail board, which is foam with OSB bonded to it on the roof. And of course we've got the foam, and it's like a really cool fort for chipmunks, or for Tom for that matter. The chipmunk has discovered it, and I have a ultrasonic noisemaker up there to upset him and hopefully make him leave. If in fact I already haven't made him leave by my swearing and banging on the ceiling and yelling. And he came out and visited me when I was out here yesterday, and he jumped went in one direction, I went in the other direction. A couple things I want to show you inside here. One is we've got all the power hooked up. The power, central main power, came the same time we were doing the spray foam last week. So I've got all the power running. The plaster that we had broken, and this was one area, I had broken plaster when we jacked the house up, and you can see where the foam has bonded. Here's a stud here, and there's the foam in between. That's what I want to see. I want to see a lot of insulation in this house, and we do have it now. It's not completely tight yet because we still have this gable end, but before I took this apart, I found that the comfort level in here was a lot different. It's cool in here when it's hot outside, and it's warm in here when it's cool outside, so it seems to be holding heat better and averaging out. Let me show you a couple other things we've done that are kind of interesting. Well, this is one of the things I did. This is, I won't call it a mistake because I am happy it happened. The ceiling plaster has popped a little bit, and I need to pull this off. That's what I'm doing right now with you. And the reason I'm not too concerned about it is we're not putting plaster back on the ceiling. We're going to put V-Match pine up on the ceiling. So we were going to strap it anyway and put V-Match pine right over this. So I just need to pull down the plaster that's really hanging, which I will continue to do. And it's popped down in several places. This is 1-inch lath. This is not your traditional, say, 3/8 or so inch lath that you would see. It's actually fractured boards. I guess it was just old boards that were kicking around. So it's a little bit thicker, and it appeared to me that I could walk around on, and I did to some degree, but it did pop after a while. You can see some foam coming down through, which is good. We had sheet foam up here, and we sprayed foam around the edges and sprayed foam over it. So it's very tight in the attic. You can see over here, this is where the attic hatch was, and here's some of that foam, and here's some spray foam that came in around the edges. I'll probably make this so it still is accessible, but the only way I'm going to be able to get up in there is with a saw to cut my way through, and I'm going to leave it sealed unless it absolutely is necessary. No wiring up there. There ain't nothing up there I ever want to go and look at again. So hopefully we never need to be up there. But we do want to have an access point. This will continue to be the access point. We'll trim it out someday, sometime. The longer I do this project, the more I appreciate the fact that this is, albeit a small house, there's a lot going on here. We're going to have tons of projects for the upcoming year or so. And the thing that makes it all work is just taking little bites off of it every week, little pieces. So what seems to be if I stop and step back, even at this point, with all the walls done, all the insulating done, I look at the things I still need to do, I go, oh my God, we're never going to be done. But we just take little pieces every week, and we just continue to work away at it. You can do it, I can do it. This is the way contractors do it. Sometimes contractors take bigger pieces because they have 5 guys doing all these little jobs simultaneously, so these things go real fast. You and I, as do-it-yourselfers, do little pieces, and I think we're making progress. Let's go over here and see what's going on. Okay, we're in the bathroom, and there used to be a closet built in here, and it was fairly sizable, and it had to go, and it had to go for a couple reasons. One is, if I close the door and we lose our light, it was adjacent to the stairs, and if I step down over here, this is a great shortcut. If you really have to go to the bathroom, you just go up in. But this floor overhangs the wall a little bit, so we need to cut the floor back, and this wall here overhangs the wall even more. And I want to cut this back to about here and kind of put this at an angle, which gives us even more access to the second floor. Access, if you remember, way back when, was very limited. This was a very narrow stair. We've widened it on this wall. We're going to wind up widening a little bit more on this wall, and that'll make it easier to get big things up here like mattresses and furniture, which I'm sure was a big issue beforehand. Plus, this was a very funky cabinet. So the cabinet came out. We'll build the wall in when I don't need to be working outdoors. I feel it really important right now. I got to get the gable end done so we can get the all the trim set up for the roof so the roofers can come in. At that point I can go, because we've got the house pretty well weather tight, and it is autumn, and it is that time of year when weather becomes an issue. And then I can start to deal with these things, although this wall is a little bit of a privacy issue, isn't it? So we need to, we will get this somewhat soon. We almost hope for a rainy day to get this. This was another ceiling that I really boogered up in terms of having it drop down when we were working up in the roof. But again, it's not a big deal because it would have been contained anyway with the new ceiling, and the new ceiling will go in soon at some point. The bathroom is still a whole issue. This is going to be a fantastic wintertime project. In the meantime, we're going to do that window and this window. This is the one adjacent to the one we just took out. Hopefully that'll come out today or tomorrow. We'll get that framed up, and then we'll get the insulating done. We got a lot of things to look at. We haven't even scratched the surface yet, so you stay with us. We got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Oh, I'm getting really tired of being on staging and being up near roofs, and we're getting very close. From last week when we sprayed the foam to this week, I've done a few things. I put a product on called nail board because I happen to have it. What it is 7/16 OSB with 1.5 inches of foam bonded to the back side. And right now plywood and OSB prices are going crazy. I had it in stock, so I used it. It bumps up the R value on the slopey part of the ceiling a little bit more. And they were 4x4 sheets, and I did this by myself, so it was easy to work with them and handle them. What I did was do the first layer here and then just bring them up and continue to go up. Have these boards that are screwed in, 2x that are screwed in, as some place to stand on as I got up further on the roof. And I've got tar paper stapled down as a weather barrier. And then we had the hint of a hurricane, so I decided that I need to have a blue tarp on there as well, because it is Maine, and blue tarp I think is the state flag, so I wanted to be as patriotic as possible. So the blue tarp is there just for some extra redundancy. It does a pretty good job. What we have to do now, once I finish the gable end, is we need to work out the eaves, build them out, and you'll be seeing that when the time comes, maybe next week. And but I wanted to at least show you where we're at here. This front wall, if you remember, was open up here, and they sprayed foam down in. So foam is bonded to this piece of OSB, which is 4 feet high, and as foam is bonded to the wall of the building, and then we put in this piece. We didn't have the roof on it. They sprayed in to fill the rest of this cavity. So this is all stuck together. A little bit of foam is oozed out here, and that's good. It's solid. That's what we wanted, was for the thing to be very solid. We've got the same deal on the back side. Let's go take a quick peek at that. Looks very similar, but we should peek at it anyway. It's here. Well, any foam that is sticking up by where we want it to be, we have to cut off with a handsaw or some other power tool. I used a handsaw, so you see scraps of it all around here. The back area, same as the front. It's all closed in now. It's just waiting for me to do the eaves. And then we can start to actually take staging down, which is going to be a red letter day in my book. The rest of the trim is going to be a fun project in terms of my little world, because that's kind of like icing on the cake. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's been, so back is like the front. You've seen it. It's kind of special. But we got one other thing around the side here that you need to see, because it is very cool. And this happened the same time we were doing the foam, and this is probably the most important thing in my little world. We got the electric power hooked up. The Central Maine Power came in and took care of that. And if you look up there, they have wrapped the drop right by the house with vinyl to protect Tom and anybody else who's working in that vicinity, so we don't get electrocuted, which is very nice. We had a new network box put in for the phone, because the old one had gotten wet, and where this is a coastal environment, there was enough corrosion there that we could get a connection, but it was messy. It was very staticky, so Verizon came, put a new box in, and that cleaned that up. So I guess, you know, I had it hanging upside down, I'm sure, for part of the time, and that didn't help the thing. So we've got that ready to go. And we're just needing to do a few more things on this end, and we're ready to rock and roll. Oh, there is one other thing. I almost forgot. Let's take a quick break, and I'll show you. This is pretty cool too. Well, the one place that we sometimes overlook, probably not if you watch our show regularly, but a lot of people overlook, is insulating the basement. And we've had some issues down in this basement in particular related to moisture. So I've had the spray guys spray the basement. And what we did was a couple things. I cut and fit foam up here in the box sills, and then I had them spray over that. There's about 1 inch over that. Then we have the basement wall, which is, this is the front of the house. This is where the granite was exposed. We've got 2 inches here. This is above grade. This is looking at the coldest temperatures we're going to see in the wintertime. And then down here below grade, we have about 1 inch of foam. And I wanted this not so much for insulation. I did want it for insulation, but I really wanted it for moisture control, to try to keep moisture from leaking in through the basement wall inside. And it has done a pretty effective job. We had over in this area here, we had some water coming in. We still do, and we're going to play with this a little more. I think if we came down over the edge of the floor a little bit more, we may be able to contain it better. But I'm not really worried about it, because I am so happy we have so much less moisture. And here's an interesting evidence of the situation. There's a small crack in the floor here. There's a hole here where there was a post, and you can see where water has come up through and is wicking around by capillarity. So we will analyze the situation. We're not done down here yet. And we have to move the oil tank. We haven't done that wall. And the old furnace has to leave here. But the imperative part of this is that we have a really good moisture control scheme. Also, more than moisture control for water coming in and heat loss is the fact that this now, all this cold masonry in the summertime is disconnected from the air that would be in the basement. And in the summer, a day like today, well, it is still technically summer while we're taping, although it feels like autumn. It's a very humid day. And if that humidity comes in through a basement window, it hits this surface, or would have hit this masonry surface, and would have caused condensation. We would have had mold and mildew, or at least some mildew forming if there was anything for it to grow on. And we've had that happen here. You can see, here's a great example. Look at that. That is mold growing on these floor joists because we had water leaking in when the house was still opened up upstairs. We had water leaking in, and it was relatively cool down here. And we had a lot of wetness. It took a while to dry out. It was summertime. It got warm. It got humid. And we've got mold on here. And I could really smell it back a couple of months ago. I'm going to wash this down either with Clorox or Lysol, something to kill it, because almost every floor joist is evidencing a little bit of mold activity. So I really wanted to do everything I could do to make sure this is not an issue. Again, a coastal environment, I've been amazed by how lush things grow. Things that would not grow in Bangor grow down here like $1 million because of all that moisture that's coming off the ocean, the high humidity, and it's evidencing itself here. It evidenced itself upstairs, more so from the standing water, but also from the high moisture in the air in terms of the rotted walls. And of course, you know what we had to do there. So we don't want this to become an issue. And in hindsight, I really thought seriously about doing this whole floor deck with pressure-treated lumber. And people talked me out of it because, excuse me, people, if this house was ever being sold, people come and look at it, they see pressure-treated lumber, they kind of freak and think, oh my God, that's poison wood. Well, the poison wood doesn't get the mold on it. So we'll need to deal with this and make sure that, you know, the people that own the house do not have this as a problem. And this is the time to treat it. This helps to remedy the situation. So this is a good prophylaxis. Doesn't cost an incredible amount of money to spray 1 inch over everything. 2 inches up here is relatively measured. There's not a lot of surface area. And the spray foam, I think we talked about it last week, costs 75 cents a board foot. That's 1 square foot, 1 inch thick. So this area here, which is 1 inch thick, is 75 cents. Now you've got a fair bit of area down here, so it's not inexpensive. But if this was an old rock mortar basement with a lot of cracks, there's moisture coming in, there's spiders, there's probably mice sneaking in, this stops it and does a very good job. And also consolidates things too. Spit it out, Tom. Let's go upstairs and take a look at a few more things, and then I got to get back to work. Well, I knew there was one other thing I needed to show you this week. We put in a front door. We just have the door. We don't have the whole deal done yet, but just thought I'd show you where we're at with it. We've got another fiberglass, Stanley fiberglass door, and got this at Home Depot. Was $139. And what this is a paint grade door. It's nice smooth finish. It has lines and crispness of line just like a wood door would, but it's fiberglass. Again, coastal environment, fiberglass makes a tremendous amount of sense. I think anywhere makes a lot of sense, especially when a steel door is, what, $89, $99, and this is $139. You can't beat it. What we've done is we went to the front opening, we've centered it. We have studs on either side, which are doubled up 2x6s, pressure treated, because this is the front of the building. It's going to get a lot of wind and rain. I think everything down low and everything that would have any potential should be pressure treated. I'm going to open the door up. I'd like to show you from the outside, but I've got this tarp over the front in anticipation of the hurricanes, and I don't want to take it off. We can look at it from the back here. We're going to put 2 side lights in, here and here. Now you could buy these doors pre-made with side lights, and they're fairly affordable. I wanted to get separate side lights and frame it up myself because the original door that was here, which was very similar to this, one of the reasons we did not reuse it was, you may recall, the bottom was cut at an angle and it was just really in tough shape. The side lights were single glazed. I still have them down in the basement. And they went from top to just about bottom. And we'll do exactly the same thing with fiberglass. But If you get a pre-made one, you've got little thin pieces of wood in between the door and the side light, and it's one big unit and it drops in. That wasn't the way it looked originally. It had some massive bits of wood in between the door and the side lights, and we're replicating that here with double 2x6s on either side. I've got these pressure-treated pieces of plywood here just to cover the openings for security and also to try to keep the weather out. Didn't do a good job of keeping the weather out, but it is pretty secure. So when the side lights come, which we'll be getting sometime, I'm not even pushing, I haven't even ordered them yet because I got 100 other things to do. And if I have them here, I'm going to want to put them in because they're going to look cool. So we'll wait on that. And I'd rather have the trim here first and start to get all the other things done. But I wanted to show you that. The other thing is, you can see we've got it shimmed up, and we will show you how to put a door in. We have the other door on the side that I put in about 3 months ago, and I haven't put it in properly because it's I wanted to show you how to shim it and how to get the door in, so you know it opens and closes the way it's supposed to. It doesn't bind. The weather stripping is doing what it's supposed to do, and it works very well. We've got canned foam in around the gaps in between to make sure that we don't have any air leakage, but more importantly, we don't have water coming in. Pretty much anywhere, but really here on the coast, where we have a lot of storms, we really have to pay a lot of attention to the detail of the fact that water is going to drive into the building and is going to get into these cracks and cause problems. And we've seen that, as I said before, I say it again, we've seen that here, and we really want to make sure that we deal with that properly. I realized something the other day. If I turn my bucket over here and stand on it, remember that big post that was here that was cut off that we discovered in the process of getting ready for all the other things? This post comes out beyond this 2x8, so we're going to have to trim this back if we're going to cover this with sheetrock. You see, it's what, sticking out almost 3/4 of an inch. So we've got to trim and shave it back a little bit, which will be kind of exciting. And either that or we need to build it out, box it. I don't think we'll do that. So slowly but surely, we are making some steady progress. Every week, as I say, we get a little more done. We've got it to the point now where we're almost weather tight. We're not quite there, but I think we're gaining on it. And let's just go outside for one last look-see. Well, you know, it's kind of day where I should be in a hammock on the deck here, taking a nap, but it isn't going to happen today. A couple other things related to closing up the outside of the building here. It's just such a nice day to look at it. We've got the ice and water shield we'll be putting around all the penetrations, all the windows and doors as we get there. We are then going to put the same tar paper, we're using 30-pound felt that is on the roof, on the side walls here. And we're going to put it on a shingle style. So we're going to start at the bottom, overlap the next course with the one below it, so it's much like a shingle, so it will shed water. I'm not doing that yet because what I want to do, you know, if you're just stapling it up there, it's very likely, especially in this location, the wind's going to come and blow it away. So when I get to the point in time that I'm putting up tar paper, that time will be when I'll start putting on trim. And the trim will help to lock in the tar paper, much the way the strapping is up on the roof where I have it for the tarp. And the goal here is to have all the corner trim on, there's some base trim, and of course the eave trim in place with tar paper underneath it. That'll hold the tar paper, and at that point when the trim is on, I don't have to worry about doing anything out here till next spring if I don't want to. The reality is I will start putting on clapboards as soon as we get them, because I want to see it looking as finished as possible, as soon as possible, because sometimes I get tired of waiting. Anyway, I hope I haven't made you wait too long for the end of the show. It is the end of the show. If you have any questions, give us a call on the radio. We've been having a lot of talk lately about what we're doing, and it's a lot of fun to answer your questions. You'll see where at the end of the show. And I'm just curious to see where the heck we're going to be next week. Take care.
Production support for Hot and Cold is brought to you by American Solar Technics, manufacturers of components for wood burning and solar heating systems.